It's rare that a forestry report actually makes you, hungry, but today's deep dive might do exactly that. We are talking about a fungus that smells like apricots, looks like a golden trumpet, and crucially, refuses to be farmed. We are talking about chanterelles.
The absolute gold standard of wild foods. And you're right, we can't just plant these in a greenhouse. We have a great stack of sources today to explain exactly why this mushroom is so elusive.
Yeah, we've got a field guide from North Spore, a genetic breakdown from the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, and a management study from the Pacific Northwest Research Station.
Which is perfect for our mission today. We aren't just looking for dinner, We're looking at why this specific mushroom forces us to rethink how we manage forests and even how we classify nature.
But let's start with the stakes for you listening at home. If you're out in the woods and see something orange, how do you know you've found a chanterelle and not a jack-o'-lantern mushroom?
Because that one will send you straight to the ER.
Right, exactly. So it's a high-stakes game of spot the difference. It really is. The North Spore Guide is very clear on this. You have to look at the gills. A toxic jack-o'-lantern has true gills.
Thin, fragile sheets.
Yeah, exactly like pages in a book. Whereas the chanterelle has what we call false gills.
They look more like melted wax, don't they?
They do. They aren't separate sheets at all. They're structural, thick, forking ridges running down the stem. Oh, and the jack-o'-lantern grows in clusters on rotting wood.
Well, the chanterelle stands alone in the soil. And there's that tactile test from the guide too, right? The string cheese method.
Best part of foraging. If you peel a chanterelle from cap to stem, the flesh shreds in strips, just like string cheese.
If it crumbles or snaps, you walk away. So, assuming you identify it correctly, the logical next step would be to grab a spore print and grow them at home. But you just can't.
You can't, because chanterelles are ectomycorrhizal.
Which is a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, it is, but it basically means they are biologically married to the trees. It's a trade deal. The mushroom wraps around the roots of oaks or conifers,
Acting like an extension of the tree's root system.
right, scavenging water and minerals the tree just can't reach. And in return, the tree pays the mushroom in sugar from photosynthesis. You simply can't replicate that complex relationship in a sterile lab.
Which brings us to that genetic study from Wisconsin. For decades, we just assumed the chanterelle making this trade here in North America was the same species they have in Europe.
Chanterelle sabarius. We were entirely wrong.
Oh!
This is the big aha moment of the research.
The classic golden chanterelle doesn't actually exist here.
Nope. Researchers went into Hickson Forest Park, which is a busy city park, not some remote wilderness.
They used DNA analysis and proved that what looks like one mushroom is actually several distinct species living right next to each other.
The cast of characters is amazing. They identified Chanterellus phasmatis, the ghost chanterelle.
It has this pale, whitish underside that bruises pink, right?
Yeah, and right nearby they found Cantharellus flavus, the Ming Western yellow. That one fits the classic golden profile.
But the showstopper was Cantharellus spectaculus, the spectacular chanterelle, which is a very confident name.
It totally earns it. Stunning purple and salmon hues on the ridges. And the crazy part is they found these 3 distinct species growing within 20 meters of each other.
They look similar to the naked eye, but genetically they're total strangers.
Exactly. So we have distinct species totally dependent on specific trees, which makes that forest management study from the Pacific Northwest feel a lot more urgent.
Yeah, if we mess with the trees, do we lose the mushrooms?
That's the billion-dollar question. The study looked at young stand thinning, basically cutting down some trees to let others grow bigger.
Intuition says if you cut the host tree, the mushroom dies.
Initially, yes. Productivity drops because you're removing the food source and letting the sun dry out the forest floor.
But there's a twist. The mycelium, those underground roots of the mushroom, is surprisingly tough.
Extremely resilient. The study found that while fruit production dips, the organism survives. As the remaining trees expand their canopy and the shade returns, the chanterelles bounce right back.
That's a relief. Because the economic data here is wild. This is a $1.4 billion global market.
And every single dollar comes from foraging. No factory farms. If the forest goes, the industry goes.
Before we wrap up, we promised a practical takeaway for you all. The sources were absolutely unanimous on one cooking rule.
Do not put butter in the pan first.
It feels so wrong, but the science backs it up. Chanterelles are packed with water. You need to dry sauté them first.
Hot pan, 0 fat. Let them squeak and release that forest moisture. Once the water boils off and they start to brown, then you add your butter or cream. It concentrates the flavor completely.
So to recap this deep dive, we have a mushroom that fuels a billion-dollar economy, refuses to be tamed by agriculture, and was hiding secret species in a public park the whole time.
It really highlights how much we still don't know about our own backyards.
Absolutely. If scientists found 3 new species in a heavily trafficked city park in Wisconsin just by looking at the DNA, how many other known species in our backyards are actually strangers hiding in plain sight? Something for you to chew on next time you take a walk. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.